Let me ask you a question. Do you actually want to achieve all of your goals in order to reach your fullest potential? Because if you do, you have to be willing to get rid of the people in your life that do not belong there because they are holding you back and dragging you down whether you realize it or not. Because especially in these early stages like we're all in now, our main objective is to grow and evolve, right? And in order to do that at the pace and at the level that we want to, we have to isolate ourselves for a while because when you're in these early stages and you cut off all your old friends, you're not going to be good enough or have the results yet in order to become friends with the new group of people that you want to be friends with. And this inevitably forces you into a stage of isolation. But on the bright side, this period of isolation is extremely beneficial, but only if you use it correctly, because it's where you find out who you truly are and what you're really made of. Because it's during this period of isolation that we all go through in our journeys, there's either one of two ways that we can go from this point. You can either one, use it to grow and develop and learn at such an exponential rate that when you come out of this period of isolation, no one will even recognize you because of how much you've grown. Or two, you can take this period of isolation for granted and try to get out of it as fast as possible, which results in you end up going back to your old friends just a few weeks later. And I can tell you from personal experience that I've chose option two before, and it is not it, bro. Because what happened with me at least is even though I went back to smoking weed and going out to parties and doing all these different things after just a couple of weeks, the progress that I made in just those 2 weeks showed me what I was capable of. And the thought of that lingered in my head every single second that I spent doing these bad habits from that point forward. And on top of that, I got made fun of by all my old friends because I told them I was going to do all these things and do this and do that. But there I was passing the blunt around with them 2 weeks later. And obviously, we don't want to be known as that guy who says that he's going to lock in and do all this shit, but he never actually does. So finally, after about a year of this cycle of choosing option two time and time again, I finally chose option one and embraced this period of isolation. I cut everyone off. The only people that I talked to essentially were my girlfriend and my parents. And I can't even describe to you with words the amount of work that I did on myself to get to where I am today, which is still nowhere close to where I want to get to when it's all said and done, but that's besides the point. I'm not telling you all this to spit on my own dick and tell you all the amazing things that I've done. I'm telling you this to show you that I am no different than you. Some of you are probably a lot smarter than me and work a lot harder than me. But your issue is that your focus is being put in the wrong direction. You need to spend some time alone in order to make this growth possible because it allows you to identify who you truly are, what do you truly want, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, and what opportunities that you currently have that you aren't taking advantage of. But look, I understand it's hard to cut off some of these people and have some of these difficult conversations, but you have to understand what's at stake here. You are currently sacrificing your legacy, your purpose, your fulfillment in life, these things that make you excited to be alive and wake up every single morning with a smile on your face because of the future that you're working towards. Like, bro, your future wife and kids are currently counting on you to make this correct decision. And if you're willing to sacrifice all of that because you just want to be nice and you don't want to have these difficult conversations, I genuinely don't know what to tell you. But when you put it like that, you can't lie that it's pretty hard to argue against keeping these people in your life, no matter how hard it might be to let them go. But the biggest thing that I can tell you from my experience is that the things that you have to look forward to on the other side of this are so much greater than whatever you think you're going to lose from distancing yourself from these people. And I'm sure you have at least one or two people in your head right now that you're like, yeah, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, this guy is kind of holding me back. Like when we hang out, we really don't do anything productive, or when we hang out, I'm more likely to do something that isn't conducive to my goals. But once you make this decision to distance yourself from these people, I am telling you, it may not feel like it right now or in the moment, but you have so much to look forward to because, like I said, it's going to allow you to be in this isolated state, which is extremely beneficial to you for your long term growth. And look, I'm not going to lie to you. Is it lonely sometimes? Yeah, I get lonely sometimes, but it's part of the process. I'm not saying that you're never going to be lonely or that when you distance yourself from these people, it's just going to magically all turn out amazing. You're still going to have a lot of adversity that's going to come your way. You're still going to have a lot of lessons that you need to learn and fears to overcome. But getting to that first step where you take that leap of faith and finally cut off these people that have been holding you back, which puts you in this isolated state, it will work wonders for you because that is where you really learn who you are and what you're truly made of. And what you'll find is that this process is genuinely beautiful and almost poetic in a way because I can tell you from personal experience that I am a completely different person than I was just 2 or 3 years ago. Before I started this journey, I had no direction in my life. I was 30 pounds overweight. I had no work ethic. I was addicted to drugs, alcohol, porn, you name it. And it got to the point where it sent me down a really bad mindset where I almost felt paralyzed in a way. But I full-heartedly believe that those people who experience a significant amount of trauma or pressuring situations, or essentially what I'm trying to say is pressure makes diamonds, right? And unfortunately, you either sink or you swim. You either bend or you break. Like, I still observe these guys that I hang around with from afar, and even though I would love to see them all turn out better than they were before when we used to hang out, the reality is most of them don't. Most of them are still doing the same drugs, still going to the same parties, still fucking the same chicks. But those like me who make it out of that kind of life and that kind of past, they seem to have this sense of intelligence and knowledge and aura about them that you can pretty much tell without even having to talk to them that they are wise and that they've been through some shit. Like, I say all the time, kind of like as a joke, that I've lived 3 lifetimes in the span of 24 years. But I'm telling you, the benefits that I've gotten from those 3 lifetimes are immeasurable. And I would not go back and change it for the world, even though it was a heavy price to pay at the time. Because people used to tell me all the time, and even to this day, they tell me, think realistically, what's your backup plan, and all these different things, right? But I just don't think a lot of people know what it's like to have a past that weighs so heavy on them each and every single day. And maybe you weren't like me and you weren't addicted to drugs for 6 years, but I think all of you have experienced some level of tragedy and some level of trauma that has altered who you are as a person and has changed the course of your entire life from that point forward. But I remember vividly all of these people that I would tell my goals and my ambitions to, and I actually have all their names written down in a notebook somewhere. But I would tell them all these things, and they would just tell me to be realistic. Look where I am now. You shouldn't have all these big goals because you're just going to be disappointed in the end when you don't achieve them. But the harsh reality is, if I thought realistic, I would not be sitting here talking to you right now. I would still be that fat guy sucking on his vape, doing drugs every day, drinking every single night, and still not believing in God. So, as a final message to you, I beg you, do not let anyone tell you that you are being unrealistic. Do not let anyone hold you back from being who you want to be in this life, and do not let anyone stop you from doing what you truly want to do.